Ah, the Isle of Skye, one of the most beautiful places in the world. And a few months ago I'd taken my son up here to experience it. However, if you remember those videos a few months ago, it wasn't quite as I'd imagined it in my mind's eye when I took my son up there. And the weather was pretty horrendous. It was windy, wet, and we both got thoroughly soaked and were cold to the bone on that trip. And I was kind of worried that that had put my son off hill walking for good. However, a few months later, and he started to badger me as to when we were going back up a hill, and I was so happy. I hadn't pushed him into it, and he was just keen to get back up another hill. So it was a Friday evening after work, and we headed off towards the hills around about 6 o'clock. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't looking great, so I wasn't wanting to endure similar conditions to what we'd had on the Isle of Skye. So I'd studied the forecast quite carefully and tried to pick an area in Scotland where the weather wasn't going to be quite so bad, shall we say. And we eventually reached our destination in the camper van for the night, just as it was starting to get dark. I was looking forward to the adventure ahead with my son. Right, well that's us arrived at our destination. It's Friday night, it's 8:42, it's dark now as we arrived, and it's been a long week at work. So yeah, I'm here with my son who is behind the camera, and we have decided that we're going to go away for a wee mini adventure, Friday night adventure, and go up a hill on Saturday morning and hopefully be back for lunchtime. We're not sure what hill we're going to go up yet. I'm going to get the maps out in a wee while before going to bed, and we'll really decide when we wake up in the morning to see what the weather conditions are like, whether the tops are clear, or as to whether we go high or we might go up a lower mountain to try and give us the best possible chance of getting a view. With that in mind, we were meant to be going to Glencoe this weekend, but the weather out west isn't as good as it is further east, so we've come to the mountain ranges further east, and hopefully we'll strike it lucky tomorrow and we'll get some views up the hill. But for now we're just going to relax in the van, look at some maps, and maybe eat some healthy foods, because we always have healthy foods when we go away in the van, such as Pringles. Obviously one of your 5 a day. What else have we got here? Oh, Haribos. These are actually for tomorrow for some energy, but yeah, 2 packets of Haribos. And what else have we got? Oh, more healthy crisps. These ones I like, the chili crisps. So we're going to go and sit and eat them, and we will have to go up a mountain tomorrow to burn off all those calories. So yeah, we'll report back in the morning, possibly when we're having an even healthier breakfast. So we'll see you in the morning. After quite a wet night, it had rained most of the evening. We awoke the next morning, and we didn't wake early because we knew it was an improving forecast, so we continued our spate of health eating and got the bacon sandwiches on the go before deciding where we were going to go for our adventure. Morning folks. What time are we at? I don't have my watch on. What's the time? What time are you?
10 to.
10 to 9. 10 to 9. So yeah, a bit of a leisurely start, but when we looked at the forecast last night, it's an improving forecast, and it was raining through the night for quite a bit. Every time I woke up I could hear it pitter-pattering on the roof. So we've had a leisurely start. We've had some bacon rolls. That was a healthy breakfast that I was talking about. Bacon rolls and some coffee, but I have had some orange juice, so that's quite good. I'll stick that up there. So yeah, we're going to be heading away from the spot where we're in the van at the moment, or where we are at the moment in the van. This is a high car park. You'll have seen us here before. There's lots of Monroes round about here, but I've had a look outside, and yeah, the tops the tops of all the hills are in the clouds. So what we're going to do is we're going to head down the road a wee bit to a wee highland village, and there's a hill there, and that hill was one of the first hills I went up when I started to make YouTube videos. I don't know if that video is still up or whether it's been removed, because I didn't know anything about copyright music stuff back then. So if it is still there and it wasn't using any dodgy music, I'll put it up here. But yeah, that's the hill we're going to go up, but we're going to go up it a different way to the way I did it God, almost 10 years ago. It was when I started doing YouTube. So yeah, we'll get packed up here, then we'll get cracked on and head up this hill, and hopefully we'll get some views from the top. So enough talking, let's get packing up and get ready to go. So the hill that I had in mind wasn't too far away, it was a few miles down the road, and the plan was to go up this hill, which was a bit lower than the ones that are immediately surrounding this car park, because I think had we gone up these hills we would have been in the clag for most of the day, and bearing in mind I wanted my son to have a wee bit of a better experience than the last time, I was kind of hopeful that the hill down here would be better, but it was certainly not showing signs of improvement as it rained most of the way down. But we soon arrived at the village where the walk starts, and the car park was actually at the Highland Games Park, where there's often royalty at the Highland Games. It was a nice wee place to park up and start the walk. And at this point the rain had gone off and things were looking, well, encouraging. Not as bad as they could be, let's put it that way. It was time to get ready and get set off up the hill. Oh, right, so here we are at the start of the walk, and we've parked at the free car park, which is just over behind me there. Look at the start point here behind me, it's the Highland Games Park for Braemar. This is where the Queenie comes, and Mr. Conley and what have you. So we're going to head round here and then head up the hill. The hill is sitting behind Braemar, and hopefully we'll get nice views over Braemar as the day goes on. So let's crack on and see how far up the hill we get. So up we went, and the start of the walk went through some really nice attractive woodland on the lower slopes of the hill. Some really nice paths round about here to explore. And the weather was improving, the rain had gone off, and we were a bit more optimistic about the journey ahead. And before long we were onto the open moorland. Now this point here is a great point overlooking Braemar, and I was going to be trying to say this to the camera, but a wee bit of advice for you: if you ever buy any new equipment, make sure you test it out and know how to use it before you go on a hike. I had broken my microphone on a Skye trip a few weeks before, and this is the first time I'd used my new microphones, and I hadn't actually had time to look at how they worked. So as you can see here, there's absolutely no sound at all of me doing a bit to camera and going through the gates here, because I had either pressed the mute button or had somehow not switched the microphones on. But anyway, after this point, the microphones were back on working, and not to their most optimum level, so I do apologise for some of the sound quality and the bits to camera, but that has been fixed now. So make sure you know how to use your equipment before you take it out. Wow, right. Don't know what these cairns are here for, but we can't be far from the top now, and looking around, we can't see the top yet. This mountain is not revealing itself until we get right up there, but the views behind us have been great down over Braemar, and you can see there's sort of speckled light over on the Cairngorms. So we've not got far to go, and we'll see if there's a big, I'm sure there's a big ugly mast in the top of this hill, so we should be able to see if it's out of the clouds shortly. I'm really hoping we have timed it just right, but you know, if it's not, it's not. We'll find out in a wee while. So yeah, enough talking. Let's get walking. Again, I need to catch up with the wee man. Let's go. Alright folks, probably see we're in the clag now. The top's up behind me there somewhere. Every now and again it's clearing. I don't know if you can see behind me. No, you probably can't. Yeah, it's clearing a wee bit, but we've not got far to go. We can see that mast appearing every now and again, but at the moment we can't see it, and according to the map we're only a couple of 100 metres away from the summit. So we'll report back when we're at the top. Woo. Oh right, so this is the summit of Morrone. I also just noticed it's also got another name, Morrone. I've always associated Morrone with an area in the west coast, so I'll need to have a look into that. I might put up some information later on why that is. I don't know if it's an anglicised name or maybe the Gaelic name. I have no idea. I'd be lying if I told you that. So anyway, this is a bit, I suppose it's a bit reminiscent and similar to the summit of Cairnwell, except the masts here are a bit bigger. There's a big couple of telecommunication masts on the summit here which kind of ruin it a wee bit, but at least we get a good signal. That's for one thing. Anyway, it's 859 metres in height, although the start point at Braemar is quite high, and you can start it from the road up Glen Shee, and that's the way I did it 10 years ago. If I can find the video, I actually cycled up it from the other side. I'll put it in the description below, and you can see the difference between a video 10 years ago and a video now. Anyway, to complete this route you can go back down the way I came up before. There's a 4x4 track that comes all the way up and it drops into Glen Shee, and you can do a circuit. But we're actually just going to drop back down into Braemar the way we came up and head back down the road. So we'll report back on the way down, but there's not much to see at the moment, so we're going to get cracked on. Let's go. Right folks, we just come off the summit, which is over there, and I was meaning to say one of the reasons we chose to come up this hill is it's a bit lower than the hills we were parked at. The ones we were parked at were a good 250, 300 metres higher than this, and the reason we chose this is there was a chance we would be in the cloud when we got to the top, which we were, but we've literally just been going for about 5 or 10 minutes, and now we're, look at this, starting to drop out of the cloud and get views, whereas if we'd gone up the higher mountains we would have been in the clag for a lot longer, and so this kind of indicates it, because we got a lot of views coming down here, lovely views over Braemar and other Cairngorm mountains which are behind me. So we're going to batter on back down to the van with some nice views which we may not have had we gone up a higher mountain. Right, just thought I'd explain that to you. Let's go. Right, just back at the van, as you can see. That was a grand wee adventure. It's nothing too taxing. I'll put it in the playlist for relatively easier hikes. And remember, none of these hikes are easy. Well, it depends on your level of experience and also the weather conditions. In fact, there was a memorial at the top there to somebody that passed away whilst on the mountain a few decades ago. So, although these are relatively easier hikes, just you still have to treat them with care. Don't come up in the middle of winter. Do them on a good day and know your limits. But anyway, right, fantastic fun. We're going to head back, get something to eat in the van, and we're going to head back down the road. So, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching. Thanks for staying on. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next adventure.